Hi, this is Kristen, your registered dietitian and health coach, with today's nutrition tip on simplifying grocery shopping and navigating your grocery store. So, when you make the transition to a paleo diet, your grocery shopping routine is likely going to have to change, specifically your navigation around the grocery store, because there's likely aisles that you will have to venture down that you don't frequent, or aisles that you used to frequent and don't have a need to go down anymore. So I just wanted to give you guys just like a brief guide to the grocery store now that you're following a paleo diet. So every grocery store is different, but they all have kind of the same sections in the grocery store. So the first place that I want you to hit when you go to the grocery store is the produce aisle. So this is where you should spend about 75% of your time in the grocery store. And obviously, if you go into the grocery store with a clear shopping list, which is part of your preparation and planning routine, is figuring out what you're making and creating a shopping list. Going into the grocery store with a shopping list will save you a great deal of time. So spend 75% of the time in the produce section getting a wide variety of vegetables and fruits. Ideally our lower sugar fruits, antioxidant rich citrus, and berries. And then a variety of colors, flavors, textures, eat the rainbow. So 75% of the time spent in the produce section, and if possible, aim for organic produce. Once you leave the produce section, you will move on to the, depending on which comes first, the seafood counter or meat counter. And this is where you'll select, if eating fresh, your fresh meats. And again, when we shoot for, meats, we want quality meats, grass-fed, pasture-raised, organic meats, and then our cold water, wild caught fatty fish. So your fish and meat comes next. And then depending on where you go first, either the dairy or into the aisles. The only aisles you'll really need to go down in the grocery store is the baking aisle, maybe, to get things like your oils, your avocado, coconut, olive oils, things like that. The international foods aisle is where you could get like coconut aminos in replacement of soy. Your herbs and spices would likely be in one of those aisles, baking or the international foods aisle. And then if you do go into like the freezer section, I think there's a myth around frozen fruits and vegetables. They're not a bad thing. In fact, sometimes frozen fruits and vegetables are even better than fresh because they are frozen right when they're picked. So they're the ripest and the most nutrient dense. So organic fruits and vegetables are great. And also, if you prefer to freeze your meats just to save yourself time and be able to like make your food last longer, then frozen meats are a great option too. So you might hit the baking aisle, the international foods aisle, and the frozen freezer section. And then you'll go to the dairy section and get eggs. Ideally our omega-3 pasture-raised eggs. Cage-free doesn't mean the same as pasture-raised, so just because something says cage-free doesn't mean pasture-raised or grass-fed. So look for those labels specifically in organic eggs. And then you might get grass-fed butter or ghee here as well. And then that's it. That should be your grocery shopping tour. It should be straightforward. Most of the time spent in the produce section, hit the meat counter, weave through a few of the aisles just for those special items that we might need, grab some eggs, grass-fed butter and ghee, and head out. A few tips I have as far as avoiding temptation is self-checkout, unless this can be kind of a pain if you get a lot of fresh produce, and having to type in all those codes can be a little bit of a hassle. But if you have the patience, self-checkout, as there's often not our tempting foods are nutrient dense sugary snack foods, and also there's less time spent in the self-checkout and your time is occupied rather than standing in the aisle waiting for the cashier and staring at all those tempting foods. So that could be helpful. And then bringing cash to the grocery store can also help us avoid temptation, because it's psychologically we're less likely to spend less money when we have cash versus card. So those are my tips for navigating the grocery store and bringing ease to your shopping routine. Hope this was helpful. Thanks. Bye.